Well, it's Wednesday. How you doing? Trust everything is, well, they said now the paranormal has becoming the new normal. Reminds me of the movie Wally. Red is the new blue. So things are definitely, you have to admit. I just experienced the emergency alert system. We used to call it the National Broadcasting System, but now it's called the Emergency Alert System. And here it was really strange. Um, no markings on this one. Typically, they will say that this is the, emergency alert system and this is just a test. This one came across, well, ambiguous. I never heard them say that this was a test for the United States. That's what I said. Test of the United States with what did they say? Multi-agency cooperation with FEMA, Department of Homeland Security, and the Emergency Alert System. So who knows? Maybe they are getting prepared. So I want to address first, let's go and take a look at more evidence of what the Earth is doing as far as the tilt is concerned. I have something pulled up here. All right, so you can check this website out. I've seen this before and have watched them, and they do a good job of mapping where and how much of the wobble is taking place. And they update these once a week. This was done last September 23rd. So this is what we have here. And look what I've done. I went ahead and pulled some of these up. So when you begin to look at these points, this is 2016. The blue is 2017. Check this out and watch this as I go through a series of these. So you can see we are really extended out. In fact, folks, this year, if you take a look at this, and let's start down here at the 6 mark, right? Watch the blue as my mouse goes out. Are y'all seeing, like, now listen, 2016, we really took a deviation. And I think that that could have been a lot of what people were seeing. So here's 2016. And we're coming in here, and it looks like to me that we're kind of, check it out. So you can get in there and you can play with this as well. But yeah, I mean, I think it's very obvious that the Earth is tilting. Back in my theological days, I would say, well, this is right in the book of Isaiah. The earth will wobble to and fro as a drunken sailor. Well, yeah, I have to say, when I really look at this, and let's go back because I really think that look at what happened in 2016, folks. I mean, we really went out there, didn't we? So if we saw this kind of deviation, I wonder how much of an impact that this would have on, let's say, weather, the jet stream, particularly when we start getting down into the troposphere. Would we see a gradient push at the magnetic equator? Would that as turn have a effect that where people on terra firma, meaning you and I, can look up there and go, oh, all right. So who knows, right? While we're here, this is something you need to be aware of if you're not. This volcano in Bali, right here in Indonesia, I'll leave the links. I don't speak the language, and I don't know, is it Miranda? What do they speak there? I'm not sure. All I know is that I don't talk it. I admire people that have the ability to be multilinguistic. High five to all of you out there that do that. But back to our little friend here. We need to, this is, I think, was actually done with the Indonesian government. I really do think. Let me get this back down. Okay. As you can see, it's really a very cool. So here is the volcano. Now, when this last went off in the 60s, guess what happened the next year, folks? The Northern Hemisphere didn't have a summer. Um, so everyone is on alert. They have evacuated the entire region around here. Now, I don't know about you, but when I was looking at this, I never realized. Now, I knew that this was a heavy, heavy seduction zone for both seismic and volcanoes, but I just never realized, folks. Remember the graph I showed you on what the world really looks like? Look at all the volcanoes. And listen, a lot of these are like, so let me pull back out here. Yellow means that you're cooking, right? Red means that you've got issues that you're going off. So here you go. You can just see the whole chain, and you can see where these earthquakes are taking place as well. And the alert zone right here, they're expecting this to go off any day. And then as we continue to look at the entire region, look at here, that's one's going off. There you go. Cool tool, isn't it? So I'll definitely leave the link on that one. One last thing while we're over here, thought that we might take a peek at the latest imagery. Our little friend is back. And let's look over here first. I know this is exactly what you tuned in for, huh? Well, you get the bonus today. What can you say? So here is the Big Suns group. This was its second time around. And let's see down here. Here's the other group. And then here's that group. So it kind of gives you an idea. See what's happening here. This one was growing yesterday. Seems to have died out. Excuse me, right there. And then the larger group. And let's see if we have magnetic mixing here. I can already see that the two bottom ones would be a negative. None there. None there. And this looks disjointed. So there you go. Don't think there's anything really to worry about there too much. Okay, so I thought that the tilt of the earth is very interesting. Thank you for a lot of your comments out there. I'll tell you, you people are smart. You know, amazing how smart people are. And when you get together and you have a rational conversation, the knowledge share is incredible. which kind of brings me up on the next subject. So I do a lot of reading, um, and some of these books are pretty, well, takes me more than a couple of actual good reads to get it fully in. You know what I'm saying? But been reading this book here, and it's real interesting on some of the theories that people have, and these are astrophysicists and astronomers. You know, me, I'm just the guy that looks through the telescope and say, wow. Um, but I keep talking about as well is that what we're learning in modern astronomy and where astrophysics are coming in, that a lot of this, what we're seeing of the universe, we don't see. We just don't, our eyes aren't designed for that. Great book, real technical. I'll tell you that right now. But if you're like me, I may not get, the where I could go up to the whiteboard and immediately start doing the math. But I can certainly read the theory, and that's not that difficult to comprehend. So, a lot of different things going on. Also, the video on let's have a honest discussion. Another great conversation piece. I guess YouTube, I don't know, their algorithm is a devious entity, and algorithms are, they're created by people. Someone wrote the code, and there's a transference of, I believe, almost DNA from a code writer that actually is writing the code, particularly for algorithms that then are embedded into AI. Well, the one that YouTube, Google invested in, they got to get their money back because it sucks. But that's what happens. We are so used today of being replaced in cognitive thought by algorithms of the software that we're engaged into. And I took a little walk here recently and sat back in a public meeting place. This is alarming. I did not see one person who was not engaged in their personal worship of their altars. This, folks. It's now, we're integrated. The Borg has assimilated us. And I actually saw not one, not two, but three different young parents. Get this, folks. Three separate couples with infants in strollers. Every one of the kids had a tablet. So you tell me what's happening. I try to respond to the emails that y'all send to me, and some of y'all are just, again, just brilliant. I learn as much from you as I do in reading, and I've dedicated myself to reading. Not enough knife, not a lifetime enough once you become aware. Let me finish my observation. Every person that entered in was either texting or absorbed into whatever the program was. And that includes talking. And it was as if no human can stand not being plugged in. And then the thought hit me, what if we're already in the midst of the single largest catastrophe of our species? How would we know? I noticed this for years when I was traveling through airports, that the zombie walk was getting worse. And now with the airlines, they no longer provide the interface, I mean, the entertainment like they used to. Now they want bring your own device. What they do want is for you to stay plugged in. And I wonder if what we have seen recently in air travel incidences with passengers and crews is the result of people being unplugged, say for 10, 15 minutes. It seems like we can't have the ability for cognitive thought. And then on top of this, when you think about what's happening to the earth, I mean, something's happening. You know, it's very obvious. It's happened before. As I've said, I doubt those bipedals that were alive then were aware that they may have been in the midst of their catastrophe of a train wreck. So we got the whole ET thing, whole angel demon thing, the whole religious thing, the whole technology thing. And here was my thought. Is technology our betrayer? Is technology destroying us? They said in one of the interviews with one of the captured species that we were so close to actually going down the right path. I don't know. I often think as well, have the enslavers of our mind, our souls, done such a thorough job that is this something that we're actually doing to ourselves? Something is going on. And, I know a lot of people are very much dedicated to their beliefs, religious and elsewise. But then I looked at this again, and you have to really take a snapshot of society. Look at our country. I'm talking about the United States, but I see the same thing in Britain. I see the same thing in France, Germany. It's though our species is being purposely driven to be divided on anything and everything. It doesn't matter what it is. And if it's not there, it's going to be programmed to you. And it's as if that's being done purposely. Something seems to be doing its best to keep the masses preoccupied. Because the information now that you and I are exposed to on a daily basis, and I'll tell you how bad it's gotten. So you want to challenge me on a statement. I'm going to tell you that there is a new theory that has been postulated because of the evidence that comes through that in fact we are nothing more than a diode on a master screen. It's called dioism, and it's spreading everywhere. In fact, the dioism is so strong of a belief system that anyone who begins to get exposed to it immediately begins to be converted. And it's highly feared by the authorities. They're doing whatever they can to eliminate it. They're actually doing stops. It can be very easily determined if you have actually been exposed to this mind breaking reality. Now, that was hypothetical. I just made that up. But had I not framed it in that, this is how knowledge is now gotten. You go to Google because you can type that in and you're going to get however many results in however less than a second. Now, you aren't going to go past one page, past probably the first three. AI knows that. And that's what it's supposed to do. Because what it's done is replaced in the hippocampus of your electric brain, and your brain is electric. How do you think you're listening to me and watching me? This is not real. You really think that this is real? You're looking at an image right there, right there. You're looking at me right there. There's no reality to what this is. But that's what you and I are plugged into through that electronic process of where the photon is hitting your eye. And then that is immediately converted into an electrical impulse that then travels through the synaptic pathways of your brain. Now, for the vision is almost a direct hit to the back of the brain because that's how its wells trade. This eye has been blocked, and it sits right at the base of the hippocampus, I believe. But that's where the knowledge is now. And again, we do this immediately. So we have this barrage of knowledge inundating us, coming in faster than any human can now process it. And it's just continue. Here's the scary thing. Last night I was reading a technical paper on, do you know that us as consumers will soon be able to purchase petabytes? Petabytes of storage? I stopped and thought about that. I'm old enough to remember a day when there was no actual consumer facing computers. Computers have been around since the 30s. Logic machines. Actually, if you want to take it, the calculus, and I'm thinking of the bead machine. Y'all know what I'm talking about. That it's a computer. In fact, if you want to get real technical about it, the geological record shows that as far as back as 5,000 years ago, they had computers. But anyway, my point is that it was still in a time where, the electronic tendrils hadn't basically connected into the system. And I remember the first Apple II. Y'all remember that thing was box? I could literally carry it in a little bag. And the programming on it was very simple. I mean, there wasn't that much. I mean, the floppies that you had to use to actually increase the memory. But back then, it was megabytes. I mean, if you had a 3 or 4 megabyte memory, I mean, wow. The first computers I remember actually ordering, you had to program them yourself. They gave you the DOS manual, really. And I remember thinking, what the hell is DOS? But then in the late 80s, early 90s is when the first AOL, you had Netscape, you had CompuServe. Remember all the ones that you could actually buy on a per minute basis? You know, the old 56K dial up. Y'all remember that? So now let's get real serious. Look what's happened in a span of less than a generation. This is not multiplication. This is absolutely exponential. And I don't know what this is going towards. I'm trying to see the good out of this. I really am. You know, I was in the broadcast industry. So I know about pre-programming. I know how subliminal programming works. It's real. It's done right now. It's even more insidious now. So they've taken this now, and is artificial intelligence of our making? Or is it of those potential other species? Found it very interesting how many of you are now seeing that the reality of could very well be that they're already living amongst us. I did a whole series on the bloodline invaders. I know in bloodlines, they're not ours. They're not like us. There's a distinct difference in the bloodline. I've shown you as well that the hierarchy. I'm about to do part 3 of the secret knowledge. I showed you how that works and how the keepers and how their elite system, these are long-lived species. They look at 100 years as nothing. For you and I, it's a lifetime. And they seem to be pretty well bent on keeping us like, well, I'd say it's worse than a pet. You know, if we're in a zoo, then we're in one messed up place, that's for sure. The group Spirit, how many of y'all remember that? 12 Dreams of Dr. Saganagas. If you haven't, great album. But they have a one song in there that we're all in the animal zoo. So I think that that is very true. So I'm going to be doing a program with Jeff Doherty this evening, 9 o'clock Eastern, 6 o'clock West Coast. Tune in over at his channel on the Jeff Doherty, the Christian whistleblower. Going to be bringing up some topics that on how I think that this whole manipulation that takes place up here on the continued injection of religious beliefs. You know, I'm convinced of this, that you could take away all 3 or 4 of the major religions, take them away, wipe them out. In other words, they sprayed us overnight. You wake up, they've done hit us with the, by the way, Do a poll on this. Respond. How many of you have had ringing, intense ringing in your ears? Would you let me know? And let me know where you are in the world. Um, I think that there is something going on. Remember when I talked about the frequencies? I've had some requests. Someone's gone back and looked at my past programs. And you're right. I did several really in-depth, what I call investigative reporting on frequencies. And now that we understand that according to the angels, the aliens, tomato, tomato, potato, potato, that to think that information can now be stored on a frequency. If I have any, I know I do. How should I put this? If you happen to listen, if you're listening to past 33 minutes, then this will be cool. Any of you guys in the area of technology, I'd love to get into a discussion. I think that this is potentially the next evolutionary leap on, I think it exceeds the neural lace. I actually stayed up pretty late last night really thinking about this, and it makes sense that you could actually, our brains respond to frequencies. Hold on a second. I know that this has gone a little bit longer, but let me show you something here. So this is Stingray. And listen, they have really gotten it up above this. This is how they spy on us. Your cell phone, mine right now, is a 24/7 listening device. And when you begin to see how these things work, you have your Gwyn towers. Look for them right here. This is one. In fact, I'll show you some. Now in the vans, what you have to look for is they've really gotten really tricky on this. Um, Many of you who remember the car phones back in the 80s, how we had to have the radio antenna, I think it's so interesting. I've caught two of them. And yeah, so what they do is that they use all the available cell phones around, and they can then get the triangulation. And then as you can see over here, they'll listen in, and they can actually listen in here. More. Watch them, guys. They're out there everywhere. These are the agencies that are involved. Here is another way that they do this. Now, folks, they now got the technology. They can see you naked. Hey, ladies, how is it when you get that strange van driving by? Yeah. And these guys are perverts. Do you know what TSA agents are? I mean, the whole thing on this, I mean, the perversion is just, and we allow it. We subject ourselves to it. But there you go. It works. And folks, now they can take the frequencies and really do a mind job on you. So anyway, and it gets even stranger than that. So go figure. But let me know if any of you have got that ringing in your ear. All right, folks, have yourself a great day. Be kind to yourself. Boy, if, you know, we all need that. And I'm just here to tell you, every one of you people are special. There's only one of you. We don't think that enough. That, listen, we all have differences. I think so many times of these that I think that the electromagnetic soup, it's like having ants crawling all over your brain, you know? And I see people all the time that become irritated on a change of a second. Most of us who are very much aware, we know something isn't right, and we do our best to be intelligent enough to vet it out. But Hey, this is the twilight zone, no doubt about it. All right, let me see your comments, and we'll be talking real soon. Be kind to yourself. We'll talk soon.